In the energy quadrant, crude oil drops lower. The April WTI crude contract drops over 2%, following risk assets lower, but the April contract is still up 2 of the last 3 sessions and 9 of the last 11. And since the low print on February 5th, crude oil is still higher by almost 8%. Still early in the week, but as we sit right now, crude is down 1.8% on a weekly basis. Today, crude ended up towards the end of the day down about 1.72%, still above $77 a barrel, but the low, 76.80, was down 2.12%, and the high only 13 basis points higher, a little bit more than 0.1% at 78.56. This feels more like a brief pause in the rally we've recently been in, other than a turnaround. Now, obviously that can change, but light volume and bullish headlines implies that this is more position squaring rather than a turnaround for an imminent drop lower. Now, that could be wrong, obviously. We don't really know with any degree of certainty, but there are several headlines that many would think would drive prices higher. For example, Russia seems to be adhering to the OPEC Plus production guidelines, according to a story reported in the Associated Press. Also, strikes by drones on cargo ships continued in the Red Sea, and China initiated new stimulus measures last night. So, despite all of this, crude still fell and finished lower, finishing nearer to the lows than to the highs. So it's a little puzzling at this point. Yields also dropped today, sending the dollar lower, but that didn't have much of an effect on WTI. Maybe that was the reason we didn't finish on the lows and just a little bit off the lows, near the lows. But the dollar in aggregate was lower, and yields were down by anywhere between 3 and 5 basis points, depending on which part of the U.S. yield curve you're looking at. That should have driven oil higher, all else equal. It did not do that today.